In the news this week, heterosexual civil partnerships are blocked by the Court of Appeal. The US government revokes controversial transsexual guidance. And the remarkable story of Christian missionary Jim Elliot is shared on the BBC. Hello. Civil partnerships for heterosexuals have been blocked by the Court of Appeal in London. Judges ruled against Rebecca Steinfield and Charles Caden, but the couple plan to take their case to the Supreme Court. The government welcomed the decision. It has previously acknowledged that legislating for heterosexual civil partnerships would cost £3 to £4 billion in public sector pensions alone. Director of the Christian Institute, Colin Hart, also backed the ruling. He explained the issue on BBC Radio 4.
The problem really results from the government ripping up the definition of marriage, which has created a situation where if you're a homosexual, you've got two options of civil partnership and you've got same-sex marriage. So this creates the confusion. Meanwhile, all sorts of other house sharers, they have no legal rights at all. They have to pay full inheritance tax.
In 2014, over 3/4 of respondents to a government consultation said they disagreed with heterosexual civil partnerships. The United States government has rescinded Obama-era guidance which forced federally funded schools to endorse transsexualism. Last year, the Obama administration ordered schools to let transsexual pupils share facilities with pupils of the opposite sex or lose funding. The move led to concerns over privacy and safeguarding and a high-profile legal challenge by several US states. This week, the Justice and Education Departments sent new guidance to schools, stating that they are no longer obliged to follow the previous rules. Ryan Anderson of conservative think tank the Heritage Foundation welcomed the move. It's understandable when a 16-year-old girl might not want an anatomical male in the shower or the locker room. We can find a way in which the privacy and safety of transgender students is respected while also respecting the privacy and safety of all other students. Parents who had their baby removed from them have been awarded compensation, in a case being described as a very serious interference with family life. Social workers took the week-old child into care because its father expressed unorthodox views over formula milk. Mr. Justice Cobb ruled that Kirklees Council had breached the parents' human rights and misled a judge. After 3 months, the child was given back to his parents, and the judge noted that he has continued to thrive ever since. The parents, who suffer from mild learning difficulties, were awarded £11,250 in compensation. However, the couple are unlikely to receive the money, which is expected to go to the legal aid agency. Colin Hart, director of the Christian Institute, described the actions as extraordinary. This case shows the damage that can be inflicted by state officials who find the views of certain families to be out of step with social work orthodoxy. And finally, the inspirational story of Christian missionary Jim Elliot has been told afresh by his daughter Valerie in a BBC feature. Elliot was killed in 1956 by members of a previously unreached tribe in Ecuador. He had travelled there with a group of missionaries in order to share the gospel. Remarkably, Jim's wife and daughter later spent time living with the same men who had killed him. Valerie shared some of her memories of the time and of her father with the BBC.
They said, "We want you and the sister of Nate Saint, we want you to come and tell our people about God." While we lived with them, and we were there almost 2.5 years, I, of course, got to know all of the tribe and the 10 men who had done the killing. Amazingly, I really don't remember being afraid of them. They were always laughing, and they would always make my mother laugh. So I simply enjoyed being with them.
When passing through
Of course, it was a tragedy, and of course, I often wished that I had known my dad, still do. But I really believe that God allowed this to happen so that more and more people could actually see what real commitment to Christ means. And I really don't believe their lives were wasted.
In the course of his life, Jim Elliot longed for an increase in missionaries to spread the good news of Christ across the world. He famously wrote in his journal, "He is no fool who gives what he cannot keep to gain that which he cannot lose." The words remain a fitting epitaph for a man who died so that others could be brought to Christ. Well, that's all for this week. For regular updates and information on all of our stories, plus much more, visit our website at christian.org.uk. Until next time, goodbye.